24 years of teaching experience, which includes 12 years of research work and postgraduate teaching. His areas of research is medical imaging, processing, and visualization. He authored textbook, AICT course material, Springer book chapters, and research papers in peer-reviewed international journals and conferences. He is a research supervisor and guiding PhD students under JSS Science and Technology University, Mysuru. He served as member of BOE and BOS of VTU, University of Mysore, and Coimbatore University. He also worked as reviewer of IEEE, Springer journals, and other international conferences. I once again, on the behalf of our institute, welcome you, sir. Sir?
Thank you, Anna, for your nice introduction. Good morning, all the participants. I hope you are attending very good speakers in the past few days of this faculty development program at UBDTC. So now, so let me go to my presentation. So I hope all of you will be able to see my slide and I'm
Yes.
audible to.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's visible and you are audible also.
Thank you. So now the topic is measurements and computational complexities in medical image processing and disease diagnosis. In this talk, I'll be discussing the diseases related to knee joint and the related image processing.
Excuse me, sir. Sir, your voice is a little bit low, sir. Can you increase the volumes?
Yeah, sure. Okay. So now let's look at the contents of this talk. We start discussing the knee joint anatomy of special tissues like the cartilage and menisci, and I'll be discussing the treatments and diagnosis for osteoarthritis and meniscus, and we'll be discussing the image processing, that is medical image processing related to this disease.
Excuse me, sir. A little bit louder, sir.
Okay.
Participants are asking.
Okay, sure. Okay, ma'am. So we'll be discussing related image processing and the measurements based on the resultant images, and we'll be discussing the 3D visualization and how to make a 3D visualization of these tissues. And later part of this discussion, we'll be taking up the computational complexities involved in such a image processing and visualization, and how it is helpful in diagnosis of the and progressive study of the disease, right? So now coming to knee diseases, we have various diseases related to knee joint, and in this talk we are just concentrating on osteoarthritis, meniscus, rheumatoid arthritis, varus valgus deformity, and the first two basically we are looking at OA, osteoarthritis OA, and meniscus. To understand the disease condition, so let's quickly visit few slides about the anatomical the features of this disease. I think you are looking at the knee joint compartment. You can look at the various the tissues in knee joint, and we have the femur bone and the tibial bone, and we have the patella, that is kneecap, and a tissue surrounding the femur bone is articular cartilage. And so this is the tissue we are now discussing about. And so we have another tissue called the menisci. So this is showing the white region where we have the lateral meniscus, and the other side we have the medial meniscus. And you can also look at the ligaments, anterior cruciate ligaments, and the other the tissues in the knee joint. So basically, knee joint is a complex joint with the different tissues embedded. At the outside, we can only see the bone, and but inside of it, we have a tissues surrounding the bone. And let's look at these videos.
Joint model. Quadriceps femoris tendon, patellar tendon, tibia collateral ligament, medial meniscus, fibular collateral ligament, lateral meniscus, anterior cruciate ligament, posterior cruciate ligament, posterior meniscofemoral ligament, tibial collateral ligament, medial meniscus, tibial collateral ligament, lateral meniscus. This is the knee joint model. Quadriceps femoris tendon, patellar tendon.
Your doctor has recommended that you have arthroscopic surgery in order to repair a torn meniscus in your knee. But what does that actually mean? The knee is one of the most important and one of the most complex joints in your body. It is made up of bone, ligament, and cartilage. Damage to any individual part can dramatically restrict the normal movement of the leg and can even interfere with the ability to walk. Let's take a look at the way the knee is put together. The femur, or thigh bone, meets the tibia to create a
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
The video's audio is very low, sir.
stabilized.
Yeah, I'll explain later. Let them
Okay.
go through this video.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Connecting the bony surfaces that rub together are pads of tissue called cartilage. Cartilage acts as a cushion. Without it, every time you bend the knee,
Hello.
it causes a major wound in the hole.
Hello.
Yes.
The meniscus is cartilage that not only protects the bone, but also
Sir, we are not able to hear enough.
Just watch the video. I will be coming to that topic.
or damage the meniscus. Symptoms include swelling, restricted movement,
Hello, sir.
inability to stand unattended.
Hello. Sir, we are not able to hear, sir.
Madam, just watch the video. I will be coming to that topic again.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, I think all of you watched that video, and my aim is to just to look at what is the inside the compartments of the knee joint. And you might have observed that in the first video we have the knee joint femur bone, tibial bone, and the cartilage tissue and menisci tissue. And in the especially third video, as a result of arthritis, they performed the total knee joint replacement, adding the artificial knee joint, right? So that is the end result of this disease, when the cartilages, these tissues are damaged, and the final the operation to be performed is the knee joint replacement. And our aim is to avoid such knee joint replacements, and so to help the doctors in the early diagnosis of the arthritis disease condition. So now coming to the cartilage, so let's understand the role of the cartilage here. So it's a thin layer of alien material, and which smoothens the movement of the knee joint, and reduces the friction and distribute the forces over the joint surface here. And looking at the meniscus structure, it's like we have the vascular and avascular region, and they are C-shaped tissues, and one is the larger tissue compared to the other one. Both are C-shaped. Look at this, and so we have the looking at the red zone where we have the blood circulation, and so we have the avascular region as well. So it's a mixture of the red zone and red-white zone and white-white zone. So this is a special tissue which is giving a cushioning effect for the knee joint, and so helps in stabilizing the movement, and helps in the weight bearing of the entire body. So basically we are concentrating on these tissues, and so now look at this picture, and where the people are suffering from the arthritis, and they feel a lot of pain. So when they want to sit on the floor, or when they are climbing the stairs, so it is a lot of pain because of the friction happening inside the knee joint because of the loss of the tissue. And also you can look at the picture, especially in people suffering that is in the sports injuries, especially football players, and when they overturn the knee joint, so the meniscus inside tear, and so it is a procedure to treat such tears. So first of all, they have to localize the tear, and meniscectomy is the procedure performed to repair the meniscal tears, and it's most of the times it is giving a side effect of damaging the cartilage and damaging the menisci instead of the curing or repairing the menisci. So look at the diagram here. This is the diagram showing the arthritis affected the knee joint. So you can see that some part of the cartilage is lost because of this disease, and the tissue is lost, and so no more it's giving the cushioning or lubricating effect. So instead, so it is exposed bone is there, and when the movement of the knee joint happens, so it rubs with the other bone, and it results in a friction and a lot of pain. Okay, and also you can see that eroded cartilage and bone spurs being formed at the end of the end surface of the bone, and because of the friction happening when the movement of the knee joint happens. And how the doctors are treating and how they're diagnosing such diseases, if you just look at the procedure they are following, and usually doctors or radiologists grade the arthritis looking at the X-ray or MRI image of the knee joint, and so they grade it as grade 0, a normal knee joint, and grade it as grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and grade 4, depending on the severity of that is how much the cartilage is lost in that patient. And grade 1 is a doubtful case where it's a beginning stage of the arthritis, and so then later it goes to grade 2 and grade 3, and final stage is grade 4, where the person is unable to fold his leg and unable to sit on the floor, etc. happens in the final stage. And once a person reaches the final stage, grade 4, total knee joint replacement is the only solution. So it cannot be treated further. But early detection, when it is in the stage of grade 0, grade 1, so helps the doctor to take that is the person affected can be informed that what are the precautions can be done, and so how much the cartilage is lost or can be protected further. And the meniscal tears, if you can look at the diagram, you can see this is the normal menisci, and so there is a tear here in this menisci, that is longitudinal tear, and this is you can observe the bucket anti-tear, and this is here you can see the flank and transfer tear and torn arm. So these are the possible tears, and that is when the leg we can extend the leg to that certain degrees. So extension flexion is possible to the extent of 120 degree only. So that is we cannot do it more than that. And in the sideway also we can rotate the knee joint only few degrees. And when the people are playing the games like the football, hockey, etc., so they overturn the legs, and these tissues, C-shaped tissues, they get tears like this, right? And to treat such, it leads to pain and loss of the cartilage as well when the meniscal tear happens to a person. And the treatment for this is they have to repair it, and to repair the menisci, so the person has to undergo the procedure called meniscectomy, and so they have to observe the inserting the camera inside the knee joint, and so instead of the repairing the menisci, most of the times it affects the other the tissues, soft tissues like cartilage, and more pain, and it results in loss of cartilage in such patients. And therefore, so in these two cases, the arthritis and the meniscal tears, so more precautions need to be taken during the tests and during the treatment of the patient, and early detection and localization of the loss in the cartilage is utmost important in such patients. And now let's coming to the modality useful for such the treatment of the arthritis and finding of the meniscal tears is the MRI, so magnetic resonance imaging. And you can look at in the diagram. So we have the three views showing the three imaging planes possible in MRI. So the first one here shows the sagittal plane, where we have the patella here and femur tibial bones, and you can see the other tissues like. So we have the cartilage tissue, the tissue which we are interested in surrounding the bone here, and you can see that the coronal view, that is backside of this is frontal, the patella, and when you look at the coronal view, so this is the view we are getting, and the femur and tibia again, and in this gap we have the cartilage and the meniscal tissue, and this is the cross-sectional view. And so when in the cross-sectional view, we can observe that C-shaped tissues showing the menisci, and also it is the condyles of the femur also visible here. Okay, so these are the three modalities in MRI, and usually the sagittal view is the widely used, and if it's a meniscal tear, they also look at the axial view to identify the damage or the tears happen to the menisci. And you already might have attended the other the United speakers about the CT and MRI. So the CT is the imaging modality where the bony portions are very much clearly visible, and when we want to observe the soft tissues of the human body, we go for MRI, and which is considered as the safest the modality among all imaging modalities. And now look at the two pictures, that is magnetic resonance images of the knee joint. And you can see that this knee joint is normal knee joint, and you can observe the femur bone and the cartilage tissue and tibial bone, and so we have the menisci, which are triangular in shape, and this is a normal knee joint. And in arthritis affected knee joint, you can see that a lot of the lighty region here, that is white region, you can observe that. So that is all indicating the loss of the tissue here. And therefore you can observe there is a the abnormality in this knee joint, but we cannot say that where the abnormality is there and where the tissue is lost, etc., by just looking at the MRI. And looking at the statistics, how many people are affected with this disease. So a huge number of people affected across the globe, and especially in USA itself, according to one statistics, 21 million people in USA, and most of them are aged. And so the most commonly observed the influencing factor is the BMI, where BMI is greater than 25 or equal to 25. So more prone, such patients are, such people are more prone to arthritis. And coming to the Indian statistics, so the India also, the most of the people aged equal to or greater than 65 are affected with such an arthritis disease. And therefore, but one the important issue here is in India, the people are not getting treated, and out of the most of the population, the aged population affected with this disease, only 10% are affordable to the treatment or know about such the causes of this disease, and they have been educated. Only 10% of the people are educated about this disease, and otherwise, so most of the people suffering with this disease at their older age. Therefore, now our aim is to visualize such the tissues, and very clearly, whatever been the visibility happens in magnetic resonance imaging, and that we have to do the processing of such the magnetic resonance images, and to have the 2D visualization and the 3D visualization of the tissues of importance, that is cartilage as well as menisci. And so we have the challenging issues here when we go for the image processing. So whether to go for a manual segmentation, fully manual segmentation, or the fully automatic segmentation, or semi-automatic segmentation. So fully manual segmentation is you have to process the each and every slice of the MRI one by one, and it takes more time, and so therefore the human errors also may be involved in such segmentation. And the fully automatic segmentation, it may lead to error by the machine, where it's very difficult to identify the area of interest or the region of interest, and therefore both are not recommended. So what is recommended in such cases is semi-automatic method, where the human supervision will be there, and also the computer performs the segmentation based on the algorithms. And similarly, detection of the meniscal tears, and so the meniscal tears can be detected up to 80% accuracy and 90% accuracy in the normal observation of MRI, but up to 10 to 20% of the meniscal tears goes unobserved or not found with the regular MRI images, and therefore having the algorithm to detect the meniscal tears is important, to detect the tears which are not observed in the MRI with the regular the MRI. So it needs a processing of such MRI images. And now, so our challenge is to do the segmentation of the images for these two tissues. And let's take up the method one, where we worked on the data set, which is available at public domain, the organization. So called National Institute of Health, United States of America. Which the organization is OA Initiative, and which is doing the collection of the medical images, especially MRI and the CT images of such arthritis patients, and they progressively take images and have the collection. So we could able to get the image data set of 483 participants from that organization and process the images. And looking at the segmentation, let's look at the steps involved in the segmentation. So we have to start with the input knee joint MRI, and then do the pre-processing to eliminate the noise, and then perform the edge detection technique, so called canny edge detection technique. And so this is not completely segmenting the cartilage of interest. So therefore, we need to have the.
Excuse me, sir. Sir.
Yeah.
Sir, little bit increase your audio, sir. Volume.
Okay. Now let's look at the steps involved in the segmentation. So we have to perform the canny edge detection, and then delineate the inner boundary, outer boundary of the cartilage, and then the interpolation of the sample points obtained, and then visualization of the cartilage in 2D. Then we have to have the collection of such the 2D segmented images to construct it as a 3D array, and then complete for all the slices in the knee joint image data set. Then we do the thickness measurement and the value measurement from the segmented images, and then it results in total volume computation at the end. And this step is these steps need to be repeated for every the slice of MRI data set. So now coming back to our slides here. So here we can see that in the initial stage, we have the input image, and this is the filtered image, okay, to eliminate the noise. And so we make use of the median filtering to preserve the edges. At the same time, it can eliminate the noise here. And then this is about the canny edge detection operator with the gradient technique. Here you can see that so this is the input image, and this is canny edge detected image, and you can see that inner boundary is clearly visible when we do the canny edge detection. And so we have to obtain the sample points out of this boundary, and then we have to perform the segmentation of the outer boundary. And here is the challenging task. The segmentation of outer boundary is not easy, because in between the two bones we have a fluid called synovial fluid, and so the intensity level of the pixels surrounding this cartilage are of the similar type of intensity of the pixels of the cartilage and its surrounding area. Therefore, we have to have the manual segmentation for this outer boundary, and however, the inner boundary is clearly obtained using the canny detection technique. And then, to look at here, the sample points obtained from canny detection made available here on the image, and we have to obtain the sample points of the outer boundary of the cartilage, and then so joining the inner boundary sample points and outer boundary sample points, and then doing the interpolation. That is, we have to reconstruct the intermediate sample points like this, and that completes the segmentation. And finally, we end up in the developing the mask of this kind. So this is representing the cartilage here, and then so we can have the input image, and then segment out using this mask. You can segment the cartilage of interest, and this is to cross check. We marked the cartilage in red color and overlap it to the input image, and therefore it's doing to confirm the segmentation. And here, since we are looking at the semi-automatic segmentation method, so the complete manual method takes the 100 to 120 minutes if you do the manual segmentation for all the slices in the image data set. But when you perform this kind of semi-automatic segmentation method, you can reduce the time by 50%. And there is another method called the radial search method, and so we have done some modifications in radial search method to improve the segmentation and reduce the complexity in segmentation. So now let's look at the radial segmentation method. Here you can see that this is the femur boundary, and this is the cartilage outer boundary. And so when we mark a point on the femur, and we can search along the radial lines so that we obtain the inner boundary of the cartilage, And here, when you search from the outer side, so we can get the outer boundary points, and inner boundary points and outer boundary points. So together can develop the mask as we did in the previous case. Now, to reduce the number of such points, what we have done, we taken the origin point, and so there is no chance of getting any boundary inside the circle. Therefore, we start the searching from the circumference of the circle towards the inner boundary, and therefore, so it gets the less number of such points or the pixels to be searched along the radial line. So reduce the computation complexity. And also for searching of the outer boundary, it need not to search the entire image, and we fix up the search only from the origin certain distance, say 200 pixels away from the origin, and it searches only that from that point and towards the origin, and therefore outer boundary points can easily detected by doing the thresholding method, so to have the edge detection. And these are the corresponding the equations to generate the radial lines as to get the coordinates points to be searched for X and Y. And when we perform the segmentation using the radial search method, you can see here, so we have the input image, and when we initiated the origin point, so we do searching from the circumference of the circle and along the radial lines. So when it is searching from the inside boundary, so we obtain the boundary along the radial lines, and also similarly when from the outward search is performed, so we get the outer boundary, and so using those boundary points and interpolated them, so we get the mask of the cartilage, and then that to ensure the segmentation, so we overlapped on the input image, and so it's exactly getting the cartilage tissue. And so here it reduces the search points. Therefore, this is modified the radial search algorithm, which can do efficiently. And the total time required to process the entire the knee joint sequence is less than 1 minute. And so it searches only the 150 pixels in the radial direction. And after doing the segmentation, we have to have the collection of all such the segmented the images. Okay, and so save the segmented images into 3D array. So you can see that sequence of images of knee joint MRI being saved into this 3D. 3D stack is created, and 3D volume can be created here. And further, so we can have the 3D reconstruction using the 3D reconstruction algorithm. So we can have the 3D visualization of this. So when you look at the image data set for one knee joint, so it looks like this. So the image 1, 2, 3, etc. And you can see that all such the MRI images. So we have segmented individual the MRI image, and you can see that. So we have the knee joint, the cartilage is segmented, right? So in different slice of the MRI. So all the slices being segmented. So all such images are saved into 3D array. Okay, and so then we do the 3D reconstruction of the cartilage. So when it is 3D reconstructed, you can see the XYZ axis, and that's the lateral the compartment and medial compartment and the proximal compartment of the cartilage is very clearly visible to us. And now when we create the 3D array, so we have the slices available and saved into 3D array, and it has to construct the surface. And to construct the surface of the cartilage, we make use of the marching cube algorithm, so which makes use of the, say, we have slice 1 and slice 2, and in between the slice, it searches for the neighbors and creates the surface from the one slice to another surface, another slice, so that we can have the visible surface of the cartilage. And you can see that the cartilage is visible in different directions. And say that let's see one of the example. Okay, so this is 3D reconstructed cartilage, and so we could able to completely have the visibility of the cartilage. You can see that lateral compartment, medial compartment, and the proximal the compartment of the cartilage tissue, and it can be rotated at any speed, so slowest speed possible, and you can observe the cartilage. So this is another example where the patient cartilage is lost, because of the arthritis, and you can see that when we rotate it, so which compartment the cartilage is lost, you can also, it is clearly visible, and also you can see the gap where the cartilage is lost, and so some portion it has been completely lost here. Okay, so therefore it's possible to have the idea where the cartilage is lost for that patient, and so we can have possible to access the volume available with the cartilage in comparison to the total volume. You see here, you can see that this portion the cartilage is lost, and here you can see the gaps here where the cartilage is lost because of the arthritis. Okay, so that is it gives a clear visibility in 3D. And all these algorithms, what I shown here, using the candidate detection method and the modified radial search algorithm. So both the algorithms are developed using the MATLAB software. So we have our own libraries created to develop such the segmentation technique and also 3D the construction and rendering. And we also have the opportunity to use a software developed by Belgium. So the company called Mimix. So we have Mimix software for such a visibility. And we also loaded the segmented images to that software. And you can see that it gives the 3 views, and the sagittal and the coronal and axial view of the cartilage. And when it's constructed, so it can similar kind of visibility can be obtained using the advanced image processing software. But since we developed our own method, so it was possible to have the access of the time taken and the complexity with the algorithm. And this is the images of the cartilage, which is visualized in 3D using the Mimix software. And some more images of the pathological cartilage, where the cartilage portion is lost in such cases. And here you can see that to have the reduced complexity in 3D reconstruction, so we followed the volume of interest approach. So we followed the volume of interest approach. In this approach, we have the different slices of MRI of that particular knee joint, and whose size is say 384 cross 384. And so this is when you have the saving of such MRI images into 3D array directly. And so it's possible to have the 3D visualization of the entire MRI image. Let's see how it happens when we do the directly saving the 3D images into the slices into 3D array, and then we are rotating the entire the 3D array. And it's very difficult to make out because the knee joint is a complex joint, and we have the different tissues here, and it's very difficult to make out where the cartilage is and where the cartilage is lost. And it's not giving the much information about the cartilage loss. And also when we do the cartilage segmentation, and we have you can see that in the entire image size, only part of the image the cartilage can be visualized. Therefore, so we do the volume of interest approach, and look at this volume of interest approach. We can have the some portion where our cartilage is visible, and say 200 cross 200 is the area in which the cartilage is visible, and we can process only that volume of interest, and all redundant pixels can be eliminated, and we can have the 3D visualization of such saved 3D array. And it can be a video can be created with less memory. That I mean, without using the graphical user interface card in the computer. So this is to compare the computational complexity. Here you can see that when you do the visualization and using the directly connecting the MRI images, and the total size is 384 cross 384. And so in the typical knee joint data set, usually up to 80 slices we have where the cartilage is visible, and taking the total number of pixels per slice, so it comes to 147,000 something. And if you look at the pixels which are not redundant to pertaining to cartilage and its surrounding, is more than a lakh here. Okay, more than a lakh, or more than 100,000 here. And so if you create a video at the slowest rate, say 2.5 frames per second, then so many megapixels need to be processed for every second. So it comes to 0.369 megapixel per second if you are doing processing directly. Okay, when we do volume of interest approach during the 3D processing, so we can take the area of interest, volume of interest 200 cross 200, and process the same set of the images, and it will be only the 40,000 pixels are processed, and redundant pixels are not there in such a processing, and it reduces to 0.1 megapixel per second, and saves the number of pixels processed to the extent of 72.8%. And similarly, when we have the direct method, if you look at the total number of the voxels processed, say, take it as 100%. And if you're performing the volume of interest, so it makes use of only the pixels of interest, and you'll be processing only 27.13% of the what we process in the direct method. Okay, so this is giving the reduced computational complexity for the processing and 3D visualization. And we also developed to have the visualization compartment wise. So the if lateral part of the cartilage is of interest, then we can only process the lateral part, medial part, or the proximal part. So by selection, we can make use of the visualization compartment wise. And to have the measurement of thickness of cartilage, we have the segmented image like this cartilage. Okay, and so to measure the thickness in such cartilage, so it's using the vertical lines or the measurement along the vertical lines, along the horizontal lines. It gives an error. It gives an error. So, for example, say this is the cartilage, segmented cartilage. Okay, and if we are doing the thickness measurement horizontal line like this, okay, and then what happens is here it gives more thickness from this end to this end. It's giving more thickness, and that's not the actual thickness at any point. And so here it is giving the lesser thickness if you measure the thickness horizontally. And if you are doing it vertically, then you can have the measurement along the vertical lines. And but here, if you can see, so when you measure here, it is giving the more thickness when you measure along the vertical lines. Okay, so this is also leads to error. Therefore, what we do is we have to have a method which can do the accurate measurement of the thickness, and we follow the method like this. So let's say the cartilage is like this. So we have to have a measurement of the thickness, and so here the cartilage boundaries are of the curvature shape, and so therefore what we do is we take the section of interest, okay, and for that the curvature shape, so we can have the tangent and the normal. Okay, for every point you can have the tangent and a normal like this. Okay. So put a tangent and its normal, and thickness need to be measured at every curvilinear point. Have the tangent and its normal, and see, for example, here. So we have to have the tangent for this, and we have to measure the thickness along the normal. Okay. So therefore, at every point we have to have the measurement like this. Then it will give the correct picture. So at the thickness of the cartilage at every point. Okay. So either measuring in the horizontal direction or vertical direction, it's not giving the the correct thickness, accurate thickness. So following this method, the same is depicted here. You can see. Sorry. So you can have the tangent and normal at every point to measure the thickness, and so you can have the Euclidean distance of separation from outer boundary point to the inner boundary point, where the tangent line, the normal line meets the inner boundary, and we do measurement of the thickness of the cartilage. And so we have to do the measurement in the 3 different regions of the cartilage to understand where the cartilage loss is more, and accordingly the treatment is given to that particular patient. And to measurement of cartilage volume, so in each segmented the cartilage, so we have to have the local volume to be measured, and do the summation of all such volumes, do the total volume of the cartilage. And so in each knee joint set, say that n number of images, then we do compute the total volume of that cartilage in that patient. And so that's about the segmentation of the cartilage. And coming to the next part, so we have to detect the TS in the menisci. And let's look at the algorithm followed for the so here again we take the input knee MRI, and so we have to have a different the segmentation technique. And here the segmentation technique followed is the seeded region growing algorithm, and we have to initialize the seed points in the on the menisci where it's visible, and then it will grow to that complete area. And so we need to have the segmentation of that the grown area, which is separating the menisci from the knee joint, the MRI. And we do process for the entire knee joint data set, so that we can save the menisci for that particular knee joint as a 3D array, and we can do the 3D visualization as we did done earlier. And also we can do the length width measurement and volume measurement of the cartilage. So for this work, we obtained the data set from JSS Medical College, and it was imaged using the Siemens and the Philips MRI machines, and collected the image data set of 1 or 2 subjects, and so age range from 20 to 80 years. And so let's look at the algorithm here. So when we mark the seed point, so it searches the neighboring pixels, and if the pixel intensity is well within that range, or the average the intensity of that region, then it adds that pixel into the region. Otherwise it is going for the next pixel, next surrounding pixel. Like that, it grows the region. It grows the region, and so that, like if it's a menisci, when you mark the seed point on that menisci, it grows to the entire menisci, and so it's possible to segment the menisci from the knee joint MRI. So look at this picture. So we have the knee joint, and the region growing happened here. So by marking the points on this knee menisci, and it's grown to the entire region. And so this is the mask developed using that the grown region, and so you can segment out. And to ensure the segmentation, we marked again we colored the menisci using this mask. Okay, so this can do the segmentation of the menisci. And here you can see that there is a tear, and so which is also detected using this region growing algorithm. So tears can be detected in menisci. So different cases we have taken where the meniscal tears happened, and so now you can see that the horizontal tear and vertical tears happen to the menisci, and so it can be observed in knee joints. So now coming to the measurement here. So from the segmented the menisci obtained, so we need to measure the length in lateral and length in the medial side, and width in lateral and width in medial side. So this kind of measurement is useful in meniscal grafting and understanding how much of the menisci is lost. And also we have to have the reference of tibial plateau width to normalize the measurement. And so the 3D reconstruction happens very similar to our earlier case where we processed the knee joint images, and the segmented images look like this. You can see here the segmented the menisci, and so from the different slices you can see the menisci being segmented using seeded region growing algorithm. Okay. So wherever the menisci is visible from those images, it is segmenting the menisci. And in between, you can see the absence of the menisci, and again the menisci starts. And that is in the middle portion, there will be no menisci. So lateral menisci and medial menisci happens with the gap there. And so that's how we can do the segmentation and do the 3D reconstruction, and so have the visibility of the menisci. And so when we do the 3D visualization, so it is like this, where so it can be rotated in XYZ directions, and usually in the condylar portion we have the say absence of menisci like this. Otherwise, the either side we have the C-shaped the tissue. And take up another case where so it can be rotated in XYZ directions to have the clear picture of the menisci. So only the lateral portion can be visualized based on the interest. Only the medial portion can be visualized. Okay, and also we processed using the Mimic software as well. And so this is how it can have the visibility of the sagittal and medial, coronal and the axial view, and the 3D reconstruct menisci using Mimic software. So this is to have the comparison of our own method with the Mimic software. And as we did the volume of interest processing in case of the cartilage, we can also do it for menisci. And you can see that only the 0.04 megapixels per second can create the 3D visualization. And percentage of reduction happens to be 88.88% compared to the full-fledged images. And so we have the, again, computation complexity reduced to 11.13% compared to the 100% when you take the full-fledged images and its 3D value. And so we, for the sake of interest, we even segmented the bony portion as well. The femur and tibia and cartilage and menisci, I can see that in different colors, red and blue color, we have given a color for cartilage and menisci, and this goldish color given to bony portion. And so we entire the knee joint compartment is the 3D reconstructed just to have the visualization of this kind. So this is showing the rotated portion of the 3D constructed images. And now coming to what is the outcome of this research, you can see that we developed the segmentation algorithms for cartilage, namely the caniate detection method, and we have the radial search algorithm. Two methods being developed. And the second thing is the menisci TS can be detected after doing the image processing. And then the 3D visualization algorithm been developed, and also the surface reconstructed using the matching cube algorithm. And also we worked out reducing the complexity using of number of pixels, taking away the redundant pixels, all such things we developed and contributed. And so thickness measurement based on the fixing of the normal and tangent method we adopted for accurate thickness measurement, and also volume measurement of the cartilage. And so measurement of length and width of the menisci carried out, and also volume of menisci being carried out. And to understand the dependencies of the age, gender, and the body mass index in case of normal and OA. So we made groups, and so worked out what is the increase or the decrease of the cartilage tissue or cartilage thickness and volume in such groups. And also our work is in collaboration with the medical doctors, and so they found this work is very useful in treatment of such patients. Looking at the publications on this work, we have a few journals available, already published and also awaiting for publication. Journal of Bioinformatics Research and Applications, and where we worked on visualization of the meniscus from knee joint MRI and assessment of size differences. And so we worked on the quantitative assessment of study of effect of age, gender, and BMI in progressive OA, and that's been published in Current Medical Imaging. And we have the seeded rhythm growing approach for the meniscus segmentation that's available in Journal of Medical Imaging and Health Informatics. And also, in addition to this, we have the many conference proceedings and converted into book chapters available in Springer. So accurate techniques of thickness and volume measurement of cartilage, and the detection of meniscal tears available in lecture notes of computational vision and biomechanics. And we have the quantification and 3D visualization available in computational intelligence and data mining. It's a Springer lecture notes in electrical engineering. And we have the multimedia processing communication computing applications, which is our the work on segmentation and visualization appeared in this lecture notes. In addition to that, we have a few IEEE conferences available, and also we worked on the a research project where we could be able to get the Mimic software, which I mentioned in earlier slide, to process and have the 3D visualization of images. And we carried out a ACT RPS project on morphometric analysis of knee joint diseases for diagnosis and treatment. And so these are the few publications and our contribution. And looking at the other part of the work, actual measurements and how the measured value look like. Let's quickly go through the data sets we processed. We have taken the data set from the Osteoarthritis Initiative USA, and where we have taken the different grades given to us for the particular image data set, grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, grade 4. And so it includes both the genders, and totally it's a data set we processed for 110 patients. And so we taken the normal cases as well, which is called as grade 0. And so taken some the factors like age, height, weight, and BMI, And so with the minimal maximal values to cover the range of different PP. And so this is the, according to KL score grading, we have the tabulation of thickness. So thickness and happens to be 3 to 4 mm Indian population, and based on the normalized values we are taken, it is you can see that it is indicated in mm. Okay, so in different compartments, lateral, the medial and proximal. And you can also look at the volume measurement. So in the lateral compartment, middle compartment, and the proximal compartment, and total volume of the knee joint, the cartilage, that particular knee joint, it's indicated in mm². And also you can see the two methods being compared here, cannate detection method and the modified radial search method, where so when we take these two methods into comparison, you can see that percentage of error is indicated with the manual method, which is carried out with the radiologist expertise. And so we adopted the semi-automatic method, and taking that manual method adopted by the radiologist as golden standard. And so we tabulated the found error, and in all the cases it is less than the 4%, or at most it is 4 point something. And so it is shown the error is less than 5% in all the regions of interest for even the value measurement as well. And to show that the method what we follow is giving the good result as per the measurement is concerned, so we followed the method called Blund-Altman analysis. So where we carried out the Blund-Altman analysis for the measurements of thickness as well as volume. And so we found that deviations of measurements well within the whatever the margins given by the Blund-Altman analysis. And this is the picture showing the Blund-Altman analysis, where we have the measurement indications well within the maximum difference happens to be 2 plus of D plus 2 SD and D minus 2 SD. And it shows that our method can be conveniently used for the measurement of thickness as well as volume. And this is when we do grouping of the available subjects according to gender. And so processing normal and processing of arthritis affected people. So it's showing the significant difference in the thickness of cartilage and the volume of cartilage. And also we tabulated for different grades of arthritis. And so this is for volume in both the genders, and also normal and OA cases. So it has shown the difference. And here, so we have the different groups, what is the average thickness and what is the average volume in different grades of the arthritis patients. And so statistical analysis is carried out to find the significant difference and understand the factors influencing such the degradation of the cartilage. And we performed the correlation analysis for the age and BMI. And so age showing the good correlation, and BMI also showing the good correlation. And so Minsky related measurements for 1 or 2 patients. And so we have taken the parameters age, height, weight, and BMI. And so Minsky measurements been compared using the manual method of the radiologist and the seeded version growing approach. And the percent error is calculated in such cases, and so it is found less than 5%, and so it is an acceptable range of measurements. So we validated again using the Blund-Altman analysis. So here you can see that the measurements are well within the margin, upper margin and lower margin. So it is acceptable, the measurement method. And here to compare the differences in the menisci of male and female, we did the comparison of measurements in different groups, male and female in this case. And so groups based on the BMI and groups based on the age. And so menisci volume also different, similar study is done. And the statistical analysis carried out to understand the significant difference exists for the gender or existing for age as well as BMI. And the correlation analysis being done for the different parameters. So it is showing the good results, and so found the influencing factors for using these analysis. And I would like to thank where any questions to be answered in between.
Hello, Mallikarjun sir. Santosh here, sir, Ubility.
1 second.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, few questions are posted in the chat, sir. You can go through it.
Okay, okay.
One question is from Dr. Kuppuswamy. How to mark reference points manually for segmenting damaged portion? Second one, how to select seed value and seeded region growing algorithm?
Okay. So let me attend. Okay. So let me answer the reference points, right? So like we have a very tricky thing here. Say, so this is cartilage, right? And right. So the inner cartilage boundary obtained using the Caniad detection technique. This boundary is clearly, because this is the bony portion and this is the soft tissues, cartilage. Okay. And the problem is only the outer boundary. Okay. The outer boundary, and so we have the synovial fluid here, and so we have the menisci here, and so this is the bony portion, and again this is the bony portion. Okay, and this inner boundary segmentation can be done using the Caniad detection method, and only the problem is lies with the outer boundary marking of the points, and this needs an expertise. So we took the training from the radiologist to identify the boundary points of the cartilage here. Okay, and the ear needs the manual intervention, and inner boundary can be easily obtained because your head detection algorithm can clearly detect this. And to mark on the visible image, to mark the sample points, we have the facility available in MATLAB. So you can easily mark the points and so have the sample points and do the interpolation and get the connected boundary, and you can do the masking of the sample points. I think I answered that question. And so again, what is meant by seed? Okay, so let's go to the drawing again. So here in the MRI image, okay, so say this is your MRI image, and so your the bone portion is very clearly visible, and so we have the menisci visible here. Okay, and in the beginning slices, when you have the slice, so the menisci will be a continuous one like this. Okay, and as we go to different sections, so it becomes arms like this. Okay, and so later in the middle region there is no menisci, And again, you go to the medial section. So again, the R1s like this, and then again it can have the continuous the menisci. And marking the seed point here is so you have to just select one of the pixel on the visible menisci. Okay, that is the seed point. So just like this, I can mark one seed point because it's a single region here. And when we are processing this slice, next slice, there may be two regions of the menisci. So mark the seed point like this. Two seed points are required for that, since we have two regions. And again next slice it may be two regions, and at the end slide again maybe one seed point required. So what happens is your algorithm takes this sample, and so whatever the intensity value of that pixel, okay, and it searches the 8 different neighbors in the surrounding, and if the 8 different neighbors, whichever is very close to the pixel intensity, it adds that pixel into that region, and it keeps on adding the surrounding pixels, and it grows into region, and it grows and grows, and it will be continuous like this, and it grows to the entire region. And when the meniscus ends up here, for example, and in the next region, there will be a pixel pertaining to the synovial fluid or pertaining to some other part of the knee joint, and there will be a smaller intensity difference will be there, and it won't be accepting that algorithm. It won't be accepting those pixels. It grows only the regions of that threshold value, and it grows that region like this. Okay, and this is the seeded region growing, and you can grow the marking the seed point, and that seed point grows into a region. That is the seeded region growing algorithm. I think is that clear, sir? Am I audible? Okay. So, pardon? Yeah. So, any more questions?
Sir, through chat box, only these 3 questions, sir. No more questions from chat box.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, sir.
And I think, if there are no questions,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
let me conclude my session. I was doing the acknowledgement part. Let me complete that. Okay, so acknowledgement, we have to acknowledge BIT Davangere, where we had a platform to explore all this work. So myself, I worked under the guidance of Dr. Mallikarjun Odi sir. So when he was at BIT and as well as at BDT, so I thank the ambience created there for research. And so I could thank OA USA, which is residing in California University, which is an organization sharing the data sets for all the researchers. And we are fortunate to obtain one such a hard disk from California University and make this for our research work. And I thank my current organization, the JSS Mahavidyapita, so where I've been educated and working here, and also I'm associated with JSS Hospital and Research. With the doctors, radiologists, Dr. Rajesh, and orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Sujan Teja. So I thank the JSS Mahavidyapita as well as my co-author doctors who are always helpful in carrying the research work. And I thank the Materialize Inc. and for developing Mimic software, and also the supplier of that software, MTab, where we able to procure under the project, and also thank MATLAB for extensive libraries and user environment created to carry out the research work, and thank SPSS software for all the tools developed for statistical analysis. And also I thank all the people directly, indirectly contributed to carry out this research work, and especially my guide, Dr. Mallikarjun Wadekar. So with that, I conclude this session.
Thank you, Mallikarjun Swamy.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, this is, yeah, I can able to see you. Yeah.
So I thank
So,
organizers of this faculty development program and all the faculty and LGB team.
Dear participants and all the faculty members who are attending this faculty development program, on behalf of all the participants and on behalf of the institute and department and organizing committee, and personally I thank Dr. Mallikarjun Swamy MS, who has done a wonderful research work in the related to knee joint articular cartilage segmentation, and he has a very good publications in this particular field of research. And at this moment I wanted to appreciate that the most of the publications by Dr. Mallikarjun Swamy have been cited very well. There are so many citations for this publication, which indicate that the quality of research carried out by him. I thank Dr. Mallikarjun Swamy for sparing his valuable time with us and giving his research ideas to all the participants and the faculty members of this workshop. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for your interaction with us and sparing your valuable time. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
All the participants are requested back by 2:45 for third session. We will start third session by 3 p.m. sharp.